Oops.
On the ball, are we? How is everyone? Hopefully everyone's okay. We're here for another
Don't drink and drive. I'm driving
here.
the stream. Don't drink and drive.
So, did we send out notifications? I think we should make sure people know that we're live.
I did just
tell
send
that we're
out,
very much organized this week, and it wasn't very last minute.
We were organized as far as the planning of the stream. When we woke up this morning, life just messed up getting ready for the stream. That's all.
Fun just happens to happen.
My apologies. The dog just decided to start eating her breakfast now. So if you hear sounds like a pig at the trough, that's why.
I don't think I would have noticed unless you said, and now you've said, now I notice. I hate you.
See, and now that you know, you cannot unknow.
I know, right?
Add it to the list of things we all wish we could forget. Anyway.
Moving on. We should go through some of the little things that we should do, right? So here, you all probably know who I am. My name is Simon Lightfoot, community leader and all that kind of stuff. CTO of Dev Angels. And you can follow me at this very address at Dev Angels London. Scott.
I am Scott Stahl. I do stuff in the community that you may or may not care about. I am an organizer of GDG Cleveland. I also work with Dev Angels London, and I can be reached at Scott Stahl 2017 on Twitter. So, and my G is busy working and making money while we're sitting here.
And we have some guests on with us today, which we'll be introducing shortly. But first, we have to do the do's and don'ts. Scott?
Yeah. Be nice. Be decent. Be constructive with your chat. Yes, it's YouTube. No, it's not Reddit. That means we have to have some standards. Don't post anything that's not adult, rude, offensive. Come on, you know all this. Don't advertise or promote your business. The one thing we do seem to get is spam, and we don't mean people advertising. We mean answer my question. My question. Can you get my question? My question. Here's my question again. So if you are able to see your question in the chat, and then don't repost your question, because if we see it twice.
We see the entire history, so just post it once, and we'll get to it if we can.
Yeah, we've got a marker that we tick on our end when we see a question.
We have a question magician called Randall in the background who's helping us out. So
Randall is a GDE who does a lot of education, and the only other thing, real quick, is of course don't harass people. All right, no bigotry, no incel, no blah blah blah, and we share a ban list with the rest of the community. So if you get banned from one place, such as here, you may find that you can't log into the Flutter community Slack and a number of other things. Too bad. So sad. Don't mess up.
So, shall we? We have a limited amount of time. So today we're going to spend an hour or so talking about full stack Dart and various other things with our lovely guest. Here he is, Kevin.
Good morning.
Welcome to the stream.
Who is
yes,
your
it's morning for you,
stylist?
isn't it? Yes.
I
How you
need your
define mine.
stylist. It'll make
My
me look like
stylist
I have
is
hair.
great.
That is the style. That's the awesome style.
This is exactly. And this is actually even after a shower. I look like this. I'm busy.
Hey.
You know, now I had to be vague for a couple months about I'm working on an upcoming event, but now we know that IO is coming back. So please reserve your virtual tickets. We're excited to see you there. And so I've been crazy cranking on that. So I haven't had much time for other things. When I record, I'll make sure I'm nicely shaved and groomed and everything.
It's fine.
I literally think like the entirety of Google goes into this mode of crunch time just before like IO. Everything leads up to IO, and then IO happens. And it's like, yes, now we get some work done.
Well, the AdWords and AdSense people don't, but everybody else does.
If you're developer facing at Google, springtime is a little bit crazy time.
Yeah. Yep. Speaking of IO, real quick, I'm not really giving anything away, but it is not exactly common public knowledge. There are really very, very few in-person tickets this year. And one of the reasons for that is they are not budgeting for any travel for the guests they normally pay to travel in. They are still very much in a hybrid mode, so there are not going to be many people there. And yeah, if you're one of the people who can normally try to get a ticket, you probably already know that we're all going to be something out of luck. That's what SOL means. Something out of luck.
I don't think I'm going this year. Yeah, there's like.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
How'd you score a ticket?
What's that?
I said I
don't think I'm going this year.
Oh, you don't think? Wow.
I mean, the thing is, right? Is I think was it last year? Was it last year? I've lost track of time. Was it last year we did the online virtual one? It wasn't it?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, like
my beautiful picture is in the corner of my my guest room that I had to like organize nicely and put a fake tree up in one corner to make it look like some ambiance for my at-home recording kit. Yeah.
The thing is, like, I think that proved the fact that it could be a virtual one, right? Like before then, there wasn't that kind of online. There wasn't one in 2020. It kind of every like team did their own little thing, and to have like it all grouped together, it worked out quite well. And I think, I mean, let's not stay on IO for too long. We'll talk about Dart and Flutter, but it suddenly you can get a lot more people, right? Because only so many people can travel, especially to a location at a certain time, right? And that's great, and it's really good to do the network and have people, but the globe is large, and to have that many more people being able to visit a virtual space, big difference. Difference.
Well, I think what's exciting about the Flutter and Dart in this space, I don't think I don't have specific numbers off the top of my head, and I don't think I could share them if I did. But Flutter did spectacularly well at IO last year. Like we got like relative to other products.
It was crazy. I was actually afraid that there would be some backlash of resentment, especially from the Android world. It's just, if you weren't there, you had this little avatar that you could go around, and each person had an avatar, and you could see each other. And we're all in the Flutter tent, all the usual suspects. And we're chatting away, and there's all these visitors and stuff. And on the second day, I decided to go explore everywhere else. And I go over to ML, and I go over to Assistant, Actions. And then I go over to Android, and it's like they're deserted. I couldn't figure it out. They are actually deserted. And yeah, I have to close Discord. Sorry about that. So I go back, and Flutter's full, and I'm like, people are going to be mad.
Or maybe people that work on Flutter have more free time. I don't know. I think. There's no point in comparisons. I'm a happy Android user, and they do great work, and I'm glad those guys are kicking rear end, and I'm having fun with it. But what's nice on the Flutter side is that I can say, looking at just our users, right? We have a pretty good sense of where our users are from. We have great representation in Latin America, in Southeast Asia, and lots of communities and people who like flying out to Mountain View is just prohibitive. And so it's funny, actually, this is a theme because I'm spoiler, I'm doing a talk on Flutter and Web for I/O this year, and like a theme that I spend time on is like the democratization. Web, I just like having app experiences on the web is great for democratization, but like the democratization of these conferences, which is like if you can't afford whatever $100,000 ticket plus airfare and hotel in Mountain View, you can't experience that. And now it's just like, no, like if you have a decent internet connection, you can stay connected. Now that's not to say like I love being in person with folks. And I spent a little bit of time finally in the office a few weeks ago, and I got to sit down and like whiteboard with Bob. And it was like,
was it surreal experience? I went into an office like for the last couple of days, and I was like, there's people like we can have this experience all together doing workshop and all the rest of it. And it's like stickies and whiteboards and all the rest of it. I'm like, where I was missing this.
There's one service, and I hope they do it in I/O somehow this year. There is one that one of the folks at GDG pointed out to me, and when you get close to people, you can actually just talk to them. You don't have to type.
Oh, that's cool.
So, and it's
Spatial Chat do that, right? Where
it's kind of, yes, I think Spatial was one. Spatial is one of them, and Spatial, it does VR. You can do web browser or you can do VR, and they do a whole lot of NFT stuff.
Okay.
All right, we're getting dragged way off topic. It's quarter after.
I know it's exciting, and I just want to say that's cool.
I think it's brilliant. It is. I'm just concerned that sorry, just to be clear to everyone watching, at 5 p.m. my time, which is 10 a.m. Pacific, whatever it's PST, PDT, whatever the time zone is. Randall's strangling me in the background because I can't remember what time zone it is.
Randall's a time zone OCD person.
Pacific time, and you're great. Yep.
So we'll be switching over because the Flutter Silicon Valley is doing their Flutter Festival. So we'll be.
And Eric Seidel, right?
Yeah, and Eric Seidel,
our fearless leader.
Eric's the first speaker. Yep.
Yeah.
And so basically, what we're going to do is we're going to sling that from their YouTube onto here. So.
Yeah. Okay, so we have 46 minutes.
And we have some good questions already. I mean,
get the questions in.
There have been a lot of discussions about full stack Dart lately. I mean, within the last 6 weeks, this has been coming up. And here's an interesting thing that I keep seeing over and over lately, and I'm starting to get curious about. People are talking about using Rust with Flutter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to see this a lot.
So
just in the past week,
this has been done quite a while ago, actually. So when FFI first became a thing, people were like, "Oh, I can communicate with other compiled projects," and it's like, "Oh, that can be C, C++, but Rust also."
So for those that don't know, this is good to keep in mind.
Sorry.
FFI stands for Foreign Function Interface. I think it's mostly been known kind of with C interrupting with people that write C and C++. And it's a common pattern for, I guess, higher level languages. So Java, I think C# even.
Java.
Do these still use COM? I don't know. I'm 15.
Oh, there is COM. Yeah, there's COM in Windows. JNI is the Java one.
Yes. So we have a package FFI. And is it Dart FFI? I should know this better.
Dart I'm literally just putting it in the chat. Dart FFI is the internal package, and let me just rephrase this for everyone else. There's an external package FFI, which gives you some added bonus material.
Right, which is a common pattern we have. So there are people doing that. And the other fun thing to look at, which goes one step further. So first, yes, are there some advantages to using Rust together with Dart? I think obviously if you have Rust code that you want to reuse with Dart is great. Dart is very good performance, but for super tight, computational work, it's hard to beat languages that don't have a garbage collection model and, are as optimized as LLVM. And so, if you have existing Rust code or code you want to interrupt with, like, I think there's obviously some advantages to using any native code with Dart. In fact, we're spending time, we're actually looking at extending the FFI model to WASM with Dart. And so if you look at GitHub, our Dartlang repo, there's a WASM repo under the Dartlang org. And
there may be people here who don't know what WASM means.
That's WebAssembly. which is a model for cross-platform native code effectively. So you can compile C, C++, Rust, and they're getting better about garbage collected languages as well. You can compile those into a binary format called WASM that is portable, so it's not specific to ARM or x86, x64. It's compact. Performance is amazing. Like I think within single digit, generally within single digit, maybe a little bit more overhead to natively compiled code, and it works everywhere.
Single digit meaning what?
What's that?
Single digit meaning what?
Within single digit, depending on the context. I should be very careful. I'm sure there's cases where the performance is not great, or is not as good, but in many cases the performance it rounds to native performance. There's a little bit of overhead because you're going through an intermediate step compiling from Rust to WASM, and then most WASM runtimes do their own just-in-time compilation to the native platform in ARM or x64 or
it's basically it revolves around like the breakdown of the unrolling of logic, right? So the point here is that you have always complex logic in like a top level, like a source language like JavaScript or whatever. Then your just-in-time compiler compiles that to like assembly, right? And that's very linear. I want to try and simplify this, but that's kind of like instructional unit-based work. And that's where WASM comes in, because it matches very closely one-to-one with how native platforms work. You get kind of a one-to-one speed over native, right?
Well, also just like the compilation model for WASM was meant to be much, much more straightforward than JavaScript.
Yeah. And
so by having a much narrower target set of features, basically right now WASM is basically limited at numerics. But that means it can be hyper optimized. And all these standard compiler tricks fit in spectacularly well.
Which is going to be a really good thing on web.
Yeah, what's great is actually great on web, and there's a whole bunch of discussion about using it on backends as well, which is super exciting. And so anyway, if you look at the WASM package, there's actually an example of a Rust module compiled to WASM, and then you run the WASM module using FFI from Dart. And so we're exploring that as well. So there's a bunch of fun stuff in this space. So I would say if you are keen to use a native language like Rust or C or C++, or any, anything else, the FFI packages and the libraries where to go, and we have good documentation on that.
I just thought of compiling Delphi, like Pascal Delphi code, and having that launch from that.
Okay.
You need to grow your neck beard out.
Let's keep it rolling. Is there a Dart framework that forces you to structure your files using best practices? We talk about this one quite a bit. Basically, if whatever state management setup you use is going to have a lot to do with your structure, and the other thing is whether you're trying to package by feature or by type.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's his name?
Block does kind of push you towards feature, but go ahead.
Andre Bizzotto did a brilliant Twitter post feed thing, about a series of like thread. That's the one. Like 10 posts, all discussing this point and showing images of the differences, and it's really good. So I'll see if I can get that out. But
and there's also there's a great. So I mean, it depends. Like once you get into a certain framework, or like you're building a Flutter application, how you organize your models and your widgets and things. I know that there are just very simple best practices if you're getting started. The Dart style guide, and so if you just search for Dart style guide, we go through usage at the language level, and those are the basic things around what to put in your lib directory versus your test directory and those types of things. And you're kind of forced into that, honestly, if you make reusable code. And then, it ends up being a little bit subjective, because it's in the SOC directory.
If I was just to say to do XYZ, you can do a pages directory with all of your actual pages, but then another one underneath called widgets with all of your widgets in it. And then maybe another one for APIs, another folder. Though that's doing it by type. If you do it by feature, you might do a certain page and all the widgets that make it up are inside that folder, so that if you delete that folder, the whole thing is completely gone. The problem with trying to do it by type, which is in a lot of people's opinion the better way, is if you have widgets that are reused all over the place, and if you're really good at reusing code, you're going to have a lot of that. So you still end up making an app-wide widgets file So then you're straddling feature versus type.
You can see this on the screen here. Feature first versus layer first is what Andres called it.
And I think something else to bring up in this context, and I don't have a lot of opinions here. Like I'm pretty deep in the plumbing often. I'm starting to do more Flutter now. I spend a lot of time just doing mostly Dart, kind of in the JSON serializable and the package level. Consider packages as another layer here too. If a given your app package is getting unwieldy in terms of size, you might actually think about splitting it into separate packages. And then you can think about testing individually, separately. It might make CI easy. It might make just collaborating with other developers more easy if it's not all in one namespace under one package. So consider using, Monorepo as a pattern we talk about a little bit, where you put many separate packages in one Git repo. Is a good way to think about it too.
Yeah, I mean, like whenever you need, so I've seen this before, like just trying to separate your dependencies. So let's say you have a Flutter web project that depends on certain things. Those packages only work in web. You have your app package. You could do two separate packages and have a common package that shares the logic between the two. There's lots of ways of breaking up and using packages to your sort of benefit.
And especially if you're a company and you want to do more than one application or one product, starting to think about shared utilities and things in a package that you can reuse for other projects becomes super useful.
And that's Andrea's Twitter.
Andre.
Sorry.
And I've posted a link to the thread in the chat, so anyone can get to that.
Okay, moving it along, because I'm anticipating a lot today, and I'm anticipating a lot of deep technical questions. So
throw them at us, and if not, we'll just talk to it anyway.
When will we see Dart native Firebase admin SDKs? When you write them and push them, because Flutter is open source.
Great question. So actually, I'm prepared. Wait, let me share.
Oh.
So I don't have an answer to this question.
When is
I
a way?
I want to draw a picture for you guys, and actually, let's see if I can share my screen without. Or can I share a window?
Yes, you can.
Yes.
You can share a Chrome tab as well. That's helpful.
Okay, good.
And there's another one. Randall has provided us with a link. Did it get into the chat yet? No. Domain-driven design. That is by Reso Coder, who does a lot of work. I need to see if Matt, if you're listening, come on the show.
Yeah, I'm going to caveat the domain-driven design in my opinion, my personal opinion, my humble opinion, as it were, is that is great, but it's like anything. Don't make it fit your use case. Don't just do it across the board. So domain-driven design, you can go to the nth degree, and every little thing that you do in your app has to go through 5 layers, and you just added like one line of code turned into 100 lines of code then, right? So you want to be careful that you're just making and building your app for what makes sense for your use case.
So, gentlemen, in order to share this thing I want to get to on Admin Escape, I have to shut down Chrome because the latest release of Mac changed permissions.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, this is not going to be hard for Scott. Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
I'll be back in like 10
seconds. Come back to that.
I'll come right back.
I have a Mac Mini.
So
I spend more time dusting it than using it. I've got it for Flutter. Anyway, go ahead.
I was going to say, let's see what do we have going on in chat.
My iPhone lives in here.
People are like, just give me the iPhone. You're wasting the iPhone.
Okay, we're gonna save your question. Oh, here he comes.
There we go. Now let's see. Can sharing my screen work?
See if it works.
I realized the last time we chatted, and a few times, I try to make layer cake diagrams using my hands, which I'm sure does not stick well at all.
You don't use your hands; you use your fingers. See,
I know totally. So do you have to? I think someone on your side has to give me permission. So this is my layer cake diagram, which is going to be easy. It's actually upside down, but I realize this is easier than trying to draw.
Different.
So I want to like talk through the networking stack, and this will get to Firebase very quickly. So what do we need to run Dart on the server? So do we run on Linux? Yes, we do. That's the first step, right? Because everything's on Linux on the server generally. We have networking, we have HTTP, that's great. We have containers, which is super support, right? We support Docker. And so if you go in here, we have some official Docker images in here. We've had them for a while now. Thank you, Tony. That's great. So obviously this works on Cloud Run on the Google stack, but obviously anywhere else is great. So Heroku, Azure, AWS, it's wonderful. The next step for the functions world in Google, and actually, and what's nice is the world. So there's a thing called a functions framework. And this is a model for how you can like define compute instances with well-defined types and well-defined semantics. We have this too. It's actually in the open tab. Functions framework on my side. You guys can still see this, right?
Yeah.
That exists. It's word wrapped. But we have that framework. That's great. Something that actually it's been out for a few days. If you've been paying attention to my Git, I'm sure those that are religiously follow my GitHub repos will have seen this. We have another step in this world. So let me go here. I might change what screen I'm sharing really quickly.
Go for it.
Nash gave me the mug, so I'm advertising for him.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
While you're doing that, Kevin, I do want to bring up an interesting point. You were saying if people were paying attention and noticing, there is so much information out there that is public at Google, but Google is, let's face it, they are terrible at getting the word out about things they're doing. They create this great thing. They make their own web page or their own announcement that is external. It can be seen by the public, but that's, maybe after another tweet or two, that's it.
This is something where, this is what I'm talking about now. We'll have a blog post out probably once I'm done with my IO video. I need to work on
right.
Top of this.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm leading up into one other thing, though, real quick. There are a number of developer relations job postings having to do with Flutter. And if you actually just talk to people, including the recruiters, inside of Google, the Firebase and Flutter teams feel that they're mutually crucial to each other's future. Firebase, it has a lot to do with Flutter's future. Flutter has a lot to do with Firebase's future. So a lot of these developer relations jobs are actually half and half. You're not fully assigned to either team.
We just hired a full-time person who straddles the worlds. I forget the gentleman's name.
And there's going to be more.
No, shameless plug, but if you go flutter.dev.jobs or dart.dev/jobs, this is the list. And we have a bunch of open jobs, so come look. But we're getting off topic. I talked about
sorry. I was filling time till you were ready.
I'm building up the Firebase thing. So this is a great technology called build packs. And what a build pack lets you do is define a recipe for how you support a language in the cloud. And then users don't have to use Docker. They can just, as long as they follow the recipe, which might just mean use a language and follow the structure, you can deploy to cloud. And so let's see here, build pack Dart. So this is a Dart server app that does some very simple things.
That's interesting. I just noticed something new on GitHub. You've got a Google emoji right off your name.
So there is actually a Chrome plugin for Googlers that will show us if someone's a Googler on GitHub. And so it helps us understand how rude we can be. If they work at Google, we can be slightly more rude to them.
I like it.
Or we can send them a one-off chat in our internal chat thing and say, hey, whatever. No, so you'll see this is actually, let me go into the lib directory here. What can we do here? Because I think I just print some text. Yeah, let's edit this file, guys. What should we edit this file to say? Let's just do some really scary.
Hello, Humpday Q&A.
Hello, and hello, Humpday Q&A.
This way we
Awesome.
find out. This way we find out the and symbol messes something up.
I know. I totally.
Oh yeah, really.
How long? Wait, there was a great joke earlier, which was like, how long have you been working in computing? I've been working in computing. I'm scared of putting spaces in file names. Like that is totally me. Underscores everywhere. Okay, so we're gonna commit straight to main because I have no respect for convention here. So an important thing is usually when
Nobody
you deploy,
reviewed this PR.
No, you guys did it. You guys are reviewing this in real time. So we have a bunch of examples up where you can do live deploy from a GitHub repo to Cloud Run, and you have a Docker file. And that's kind of how everything gets hooked in. I want you to notice here, there is no Docker file in this directory. In fact, there's nothing about Docker or Cloud or anything here. All this is a Dart app with a public-spec.yaml file and a bin directory with a server. That is it. Okay.
Yep.
If you go into this, you'll see this little fun dot here. There's a build happening in progress right now. And
is that from a GitHub action?
No, actually, so no, this is GitHub actions are like this pull versus push. So I wired up. You can wire up actions from Cloud Build. I don't think there's anything in here that's private. I don't think so. So here you go, build pack. So this is not. I think we're almost ready to say this is fully available. If you want to play with it though, it's going to be there. And so we now have a build pack support for Dart. And so Cloud Run can detect now that this is a Dart application and will spin up and go grab the right container for you. So we scroll all
okay. I'm with you. So this is linked to the Cloud Build. So you kind of like hook up the build pack with Cloud Build and then it will.
Yeah, so this actually goes and grabs the right Dart release. Here's pub running. Let's see, are we pushing yet? Not quite. We're deploying now, so we're almost done. So we've
this is modern computing.
What's that?
This is modern computing. You know, back when we all first started on a Trash 80, all you had to do was say print hello Humpday Q&A. Now you have to go through all this.
It's honestly to go from a push to fully deployed in about 2 minutes is still pretty nice. And there we go.
Totally.
So now I think I can go. Let's go back here. Sorry. And here we go.
Hello Humpday Q&A right at the top there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then here's all this fun, configuration stuff just to see it's always interesting to see what comes across the wire or what environment variables are set.
Oh, totally, yeah.
And so back to my little stack of stuff. Let me stop my screen share without hanging up. I've now successfully done this.
By the way, Kevin, I guess you are all right. You did follow at least some conventions because Raf apparently is tech lead on this job and he's supervising 71 people who just reviewed your PR. I don't know if you can see that on your screen or if you're looking at what you're doing there.
I see that 71 people. That's great. So 71 reviews. That's great. So we now have build pack support for Dart, which is super exciting. And we'll have an announcement here once I get done with my IO stuff and we do a little bit of validation. So what's great about this now is this is just raising one more level, one more level of abstraction. I don't need to worry about Docker anymore. I just create a Dart server app with server.dart, bin/server.dart, and this will handle running the build. If you build runner set up, it'll run build runner for you. It automatically compiles it to an AOT binary so that the container generated is super small and deployed. It's all there.
I really like that. I've been looking at the event arc stuff with triggers on Cloud Run and using that as well, which is actually kind of interesting as well.
So the event arc stuff, that is the functions framework stuff.
Yeah.
So function framework gives you the event arc integration. So in fact, today you can go and do event arc with Dart using the functions framework, and it supports the types and all the stuff too. So there's one more thing. I keep jumping back and forth. For those that have not, I'm just making you click and re-click and click and re-click. Let's go back to this. Cloud Functions now supports something called second generation functions. And
I've heard of this.
So this is the magic.
This is function that returns function?
No, it's not meta. Could you know? I don't think you could.
I keep getting all this stuff confused.
You're talking about second order functions. Whenever
Oh no, you have no idea what
Yes.
a big mechanic it is. So Cloud Functions for Firebase, their team code name, Cloud Functions for Firebase, it's CF3. So internally, I'm like, Cloud CF v2 is different. That's Cloud Functions v2 versus CF3, which is Cloud Functions for Firebase. It's a whole complicated mess. So let's build it up. So the Cloud Functions.
Let's add another layer. Why not?
Sure not. This is in preview right now, but this is the magic. And this is, again, what makes me so happy. The Cloud folks are being so diligent and intentional here. So I forget exactly what the architecture was for Cloud Functions v1. It was bespoke, I guess. That is probably
it was, yeah, but I think it was based off of
App Engine, I believe.
App Engine, that's it. Yeah. It was based off App Engine.
Which we're trying to, they're doing their own work to kind of figure out that story. But now it's like a very tight story, right? You have like, you have Compute Engine, you have Kubernetes Engine, you have Cloud Run. Now you have Functions. And Functions is built on Cloud Run and Event Arc. So Cloud Run, it's Docker, it's build packs, open standards. Event Arc, open standard. So like clear, tight layering, no leaky abstractions. Just improved abstractions for the user, right? A clean abstraction layer. Go ahead, Scott.
Sorry, I'm watching the time. And can we put a pin in this and hopefully come back to it? We've got questions to get to.
Oh, sure. So
and this is what I call can of worms, which basically means we can talk about this for hours.
I mean,
and
that's
it's
every topic.
Totally right. The point I wanted to get to, though, was like, so we're working with the Cloud folks now. The Firebase team and the Dart Flutter teams were all under one organization now at Google. Like, we have one VP. Like, we're all been finally brought together. Flutter and Dart
wait. How many teams are now all together?
So Flutter and Dart were in separate orgs for a while. Like Dart was in core and Flutter was in the platform team. We're all together now, and now we're peers with the Firebase team. So we're all. So
Tim
together.
Sneath is still Flutter and Dart.
Yes, and Eric now runs all of Flutter and Dart as well, and we're all together under one org. So we're sitting right next to the Firebase folks, and we talk all the time.
You're like this.
We're like this.
Cool.
So like. We're not making any announcement that said IO. I can't. There's no announcement. But we're we want to make this story much better. So it's.
See, this is more publicly available info that nobody knows.
Well, no,
you're paying attention.
I have no dates or anything else, but we're committed to having a great end to end here. We still have a lot of work to do. It's not like we're sitting on an announcement that we're going to show off at IO. Like we have a lot of work to do here, but we're committed to the story. And what's great is between the Cloud folks, the Firebase folks, and us, we're having active conversations, and all the building blocks are getting in place. And so people should be excited about this. Just don't hold your breath. It's gonna take a while.
So this is my way of nudging.
Sure.
Because you have a hard stop at 10, don't you?
I do. I lose track. It's already okay. I'll go quick. When we're building a full stack application, should we also consider calculate code sharing capabilities between platforms, backend and front end? Yes. And so I would say yes is the short answer, and slightly more. And this gets back to the Monorepo thing that I would discuss earlier. In fact, just because it's fun to share my screen, let me go build up my
So I should say that there's some projects that we've worked on that we've used Dart in the server side and Dart on the front end, and building a common package with code that shares between the two is quite practical and definitely workable.
My first real experience with that was a personal project I was messing around with. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to upload this to Firebase, yada, yada. And Simon's like, no, you don't. And he whips out a Dart server in 90 seconds. And suddenly now I'm hosting my own thing locally and I can test it there. It's like, okay, cool.
So real quick, to share my screen, I just want to give this as an example. Now, this app is a crazy, this is something I talked about with Eric and Adam Barth's video, the Rubber Duck Engineering.
I really wish they would do different times for that because it's way too late for me here in London.
Sorry, we're not convenient for you.
I know. How dare you?
But no. So this is a Monorepo. So you see, so this is the Flutter app here. My server is here in a separate directory. So this is a separate Dart package, and then I have common. And common is where I have common things. So for instance, between my client and my server, the client needs to access certain HTTP endpoints, and the server needs to host things at certain endpoints. You want those to be consistent. So I put those, what's funny is they end up being silly things. But I have this big thing, like if you have the same string more than 3 or 4 times, put it in one spot, like dry clean.
Yep.
And so I just wanted to give this as an example of like, this is where monorepos end up being really useful. So you can put like your so there's no server specific code in this package, and there is no app specific code, and so it can be used by both.
There's,
so
there's a project.
It's a little bit difficult to set up for your first time, but I'm working with a monorepo right now on an actual work job, and it is a lifesaver because I've got all of the app stuff under one package. I've got all of my web app stuff, and then all the common to both stuff, which is your Firebase API, your theming, your light and dark theming colors, all that goes in there and a whole lot more.
And I will mention that the Flutter, the company called Invitace that are doing the Flutter Fire packages have created this. It's called Melos, and it helps you manage multiple Dart packages in one repository. And you can format and structure it in various ways, but it helps you run multiple commands over multiple packages. Here they are. Flame uses it. ABS Amplify uses it. The Flutter community with Plus plugins uses it. Bunch of packages already use this, and it's super helpful for managing multiple packages with Dart. So highly recommend. That's that bit.
Well, and multiple packages in a single repo, in a mono repo.
Yeah, mono repo.
It's funny because there's always one repo, but it's like I don't know. Yeah, it's multiple
packages.
Well,
they're actually, the way I think of it is you have a project that contains, and it literally is project that contains other projects.
Right.
So if you go into if you go into project settings, I believe it is. It's project structure
or what?
Oh yeah, IntelliJ project structure.
Project structure.
Yeah.
Then you can. It says you make a new module, but what it actually does is it makes a new
package
project.
Oh yes.
It actually makes a whole new.
Yes, you have a workspace and project definitions. Yeah, but
it's repo for Git and it's package. Yeah. So it's one repo with many packages, and then
repo that holds repos.
Let's crack on. Next one.
Yes.
Will Shelf be a framework? No.
Cool. That was quick. All done.
Actually, no, it was no, and I want to be very clear here. Actually, it's great. So I'll do a speed round on Shelf. Actually, last night, if you guys look on Shelf, I landed a bunch of updates to improve the docs and the readmes and fix the code up. So I want Shelf to stay. I want Shelf to say wait. Don't go to that one next. Go back to the other one about Shelf.
I think we got here.
I didn't
want to be quite that speed round on this. So my vision on Shelf, and again, I'm open to discussions with others. I think I'm probably more maintaining it than others, Nate and a couple other people. I want Shelf to stay as simple as it is now. In fact, we're actually working on deprecating things and making it even more simple than it is. It's really meant to be glue. And so people building server frameworks in Dart, I think it's interesting to integrate it in Shelf and build on top of Shelf because it composes so well. And that's why we do it. And there's actually a great question in the Shelf repo recently, and someone made a great blog post talking about Shelf performance. It is slower than using the implementation in Dart.io, but it's on the order of, what was it? Shelf basically adds 10 microseconds per request.
Shock! Oh my god!
So someone came in and said,
10 microseconds? How dare you perform some logic?
Did a static, like just a string, like how fast can I return a string to a server? And they did these bar graphs, and Shelf looked like it was about half as fast, twice as slow, whatever,
Yeah.
And I was like, that makes us look really, really bad. And this is my whole thing about, 10x slower is 10x slower horrible. 10x slower from 1 millisecond to 10 milliseconds is not that big a deal in UI, as long as you don't have other things. But from 100 milliseconds to a second, 10x is huge. So likewise, Shelf adds about 10 microseconds of overhead. And what it does there is a lot of housekeeping to keep you from accidentally returning requests and not closing it or finishing it. Or if there's an error happens, you don't have like a lingering open socket. Like it babysits you in ways that the IO stuff doesn't. And actually, we have a bunch of opportunities to make it better. We're just not prioritizing it right now.
To be honest, though, if you were to do it any other way, you end up adding those things anyway. There's certain things you have to do to manage a web server or to manage your API server, whatever it is. So it's not like they don't get done with any other system. It's just they're being done in a different place. They're still going to take overhead on per transaction.
Yeah, like if you're
Okay.
wrapping all of your requests in a zone to make sure you can correctly capture errors, that has overhead. So yeah, Shelf, I don't think will be a framework. It'll stay as simple as it is. And I'm excited to see more and more people build frameworks in Dart, and I'm seeing it more and more, which is great. Are there some resources if someone wants to build and deploy a private pub server? I don't know.
There is. They were so the last Dart release announced that there's information for it now. So if you go and look at Medium, the Medium post for the last, maybe it be the last but one Dart release, it had some information on publishing your own pub server now, or running your own pub server. And there's also a package called Pub Server, isn't there? Something like that.
That one I think is discontinued, but this here, I'm going to go to the share. Well, this is always the great thing about Dart. Like if you want to see how you run a crazy big service in Dart, here you go. This is pub.dev. Here's the source code for pub.dev. It's all here. And in this, under doc, API.md, here is the description of the start of the description of the protocol. And you see the hosted pub repository spec v2. Oh, and this is under the pub client. So I'm going from the pub server repo here to the pub client repo. So pub-dev versus pub here, just to keep people clued in. And here you go.
There is a package, I can't remember what it is, that was released.
There was pub_server pub.dev. And I think we discontinued it. Yeah.
Because there was a new. I'm pretty sure the last release of Dart, there was a new one.
ByteDance.
There you go.
So I mean, obviously, I guess ByteDance, we know those folks. And there's a publisher. Last touch 7 months ago. I can't vouch for this at all, other than take a look. But so there's some people playing around here.
Could be a starting point. Fork it.
But my understanding, we try to keep the protocol relatively. It's just a REST. It's a REST protocol.
Okay. Any plans to support Cloud Functions at Dart runtime?
So I just went through my little stack of stuff, right? So we have build packs now. We have function framework now. Now Cloud Functions Gen 2, which is in preview, is now based on Cloud Run. So all the pieces are together, and we're working with the cloud team. Like there's no dates here, but like this is something a lot of us all want. Mm-hmm. It just worked. So I appreciate your patience, and I'm not going to say hold your breath because it's not days or weeks, but it's on our radar.
Yeah. I'm going to bring this up because this is awesome. We love Monorepos too.
Oh, good. All good. I thought you meant mono_repo, which is the package that I help maintain for doing monorepos, which is nice, but it's not quite as fancy as Melanos. It basically just helps you manage your CI for GitHub Actions.
Okay. Real quick one here. I just want to do as mentioned, and actually I believe I did answer you at one point. Really just go to the Flutter meetups thing on Google, and the instructions are right there. You create your own meetup group, you register with them, and you get listed on the Flutter meetup groups and activities. All right. Real quick one. What do we recommend for a junior? Actually, we covered this also last week, didn't we?
Basically, with this framework.
Framework meaning Shelf or meaning I'm guessing Flutter, right?
I'm thinking Flutter in general, and then that brings us to.
Let me give you my spin on this, though. Wait, go back. Oh, that's sure. Wait, no, wait. I'm going to totally take. I'm the guest today. Go back to the question.
Okay.
No, build my refrain always for folks is build something real, and build something that stretches you a little bit. Those two things, and then if possible, find someone to work with that's at your level or better.
Yeah.
And finding someone that's better than you, like has more skill and talent, can be tough because like, what's the trade-off if you're not paying them or you're doing dirty work for them? But if you're finding someone at your skill level that's trying to understand what you know at the level you are and just learning, you will learn so much more just collaborating and bouncing ideas off each other. But I would say like there's so much diminishing returns on tutorials and walkthroughs are spectacular and those are great. And doing courses is great, but there's an amount of hand holding you get there. It's like training wheels. At some point you have to ditch the training wheels, get on your bike, and you will scrape your knees. And forgive that's kind of a very Western analogy. I guess everyone in the world rides bikes, right?
Yeah.
Everyone had skin knees. So like, go build something nice. Don't try to go solve someone else's problem. Don't try to go fix someone else's bugs unless it's a thing you care about and you are using and you have context in. Like, just don't go bug sniping for giggles. Like, find something that you care about, because your own
Always have a
excitement
target.
about solving a problem will get you over the hump, because it's just hard. It's like learning how to play piano, learning how to snowboard, learning how to golf. Like, there will just be an uncanny valley where you're just miserable and it's hard, and you have to have something you're excited about to push you through. But you can do it, I believe in you.
And then you become the inventor of rollerblades, and the whole world will hate you.
And the one other quick thing from someone who still remembers what it's like to be a beginner: when you are doing a learning app that you're working on to learn, and you hit a point where you get stuck, don't stop and start working on another app. That stuck point is where your learning really begins, because now you have to start digging around, trying to figure out what's going to work. Okay, asking questions and all. And but my main point is that it's like inventing the light bulb. They learned 25,000 ways to not make a light bulb, but they learned a whole lot about the things they tried to use that didn't work.
Right.
So when you're trying to learn and you get stuck and you're crawling through the documentation and you try something and it doesn't work, then you learn and figure out why it didn't work. Now you know about that, and you have it up here for later.
Another quick thought too. Sorry, Simon. Just build a game is another great thing I found, because if you build a game, especially just a 2D game, something very simple, build checkers, build chess, build tic-tac-toe, build Connect 4. Like, you'll learn input, you'll learn how layout works, you'll learn how to build a simple data model, and you don't have to invent some, like, I'm going to build like a task manager, whatever. Like, there's so many abstract things. Like, games are so tactile and real, and there's a very constrained space of how to think about a problem. I find it's a great way to bootstrap on something. Like, make a game, a simple game that you already know the rules to.
I just want to add to what Scott was saying. Yeah, if you get stuck, that doesn't mean you just plow on trying to push your head through it. Go read material, research, like look at trying to find Stack Overflow questions that might be a similar topic to what you're dealing with, whatever it might be. But yeah, just you have to just get over that hump sometimes, and just carry on.
One that we're not going to put up on screen though. What's a good starting point for open source contributions for a junior dev? I'm shortcutting that one right now. Docs. Contribute to the docs. Find something in the docs that's not clear. Fork the repo, make the change, do the PR, get used to doing that, and then other things will go from there. So, let me triple check.
Just getting into, like, how do I go through the PR process? What's the expectation on the receiving repo? Docs are the simplest thing to do.
Yeah.
Because it's not like it's a trivial fix, because you're learning the flow, which is a big thing too. 5 minutes, I know. When do you think we'll get Dart language doc samples in Firebase and Google Cloud Docs pages? When do you think we will?
I think it's talking about, like, the way that inside the documentation for GCP, it has like the different languages. Like, it has like JavaScript, Java. When will there be Dart alongside the rest? And that's when Dart is officially supported as a cloud language, right?
We're talking.
That's a job for those straddling DevRel people.
Oh, totally. I will. Well, all I can say here is stay tuned. We're talking to these folks a lot. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you're excited about it. So am I.
I think we all are. I think it'll be Dart. Once that's done, here's the interesting thing. I think once developers of server-side stuff start seeing Dart alongside the other languages in those the documentation of GCP, I feel like there'll probably be another boost of Dart usage, and it'll be propelled forward a good step. I think,
sharing code is so nice, and honestly, just it's a point of legitimacy. I totally care. Again, this is a refrain I've given, I think, on every podcast and video I've done over the last 5 years. Like, our focus is Flutter, but to say there's a focus is not to mean we don't care about everything else. Yeah. And the end-to-end there is a super compelling one, and we live and use it every day, and we think other people will like it too.
Do you know what? I keep just remember, I keep forgetting to mention to you, you need to update your Twitter profile image because it looks nothing like you now. I swear. Every time I see it, I'm like, is that the right Kev move? Whenever I message.
That was like one of the coolest pictures I had taken. That was at an event in Seattle where I spoke about being a foster parent and an adoptive
Oh,
parent.
that's cool.
And okay.
I'm not. That wasn't just something I keep meaning to mention. I just thought I'd mention it.
I was slightly thinner and more stylish there, and I was wearing contacts. Yeah.
Okay, I'll answer this one real quick. Google search for Google Partners and Grow with Google. There is so much here. I could talk about it for 3 hours. Monetary is very, very limited basis, and that is through Google Partners. It's not Flutter specific, but if you're looking at things to help you create and grow a business that has to do with any Google products at all, talk to Grow with Google. You search Grow with Google and search Google Partners.
And they will also like introduce you to other companies that can help you do things
and GDEs.
Yeah.
And if you need advice about how to make a Flutter company, contact them and they will tell them that you want the help of a Flutter GDE. Because that's part of a GDE's mission description is helping small companies with whatever product it is that they represent. I am not sure what AppWrite is. Anyone?
Nope. Never heard of it. It sounds to me like it sounded something like the what was the one we were just talking about earlier last week? Serverpod.
Is it a WYSIWYG?
I have no idea.
Android, iOS. Oh, I don't know. No, I don't know. It looks like it's.
I'm going to take us off topic here. Have you heard of Serverpod? Kev.
Serverpod. This is a package.
Yeah.
No.
It's a new it's a new framework for building server-side applications in Dart.
Have I heard of these guys? Oh wow! I think I did because their website's beautiful.
Serverpod.
They need a publisher.
Right, we have.
Is there a Dart server framework?
There are many. There's none official, and I doubt there ever will be an official one, because Shelf is the building block we tell people to use. So Shelf Static, Shelf Router. We have a bunch of packages there. But building, I doubt Google will ever do like a full. I mean, never say never, but at least in the short term.
There was. Do you know what? I saw someone built on top of Shelf.
You guys can switch over to Eric and Silicon Valley.
Yeah. Well, actually, they're doing a 10-minute intro over there, and there is one more question I do want to get to before we do that. Simon, what's going on with the zombies?
It's this weekend. There's Flutter Festival London. You'll hear more. And we'll be streaming online. Keep follow the Flutter London or the GDG London Twitter things for updates, and you'll get updates. There you go.
Very cool.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us, Kevin. It's always fun to talk to you and talk about just Dart in general.
So I would say keep an eye on the changelog for Dart. We have to see what's coming next. We're in 2.16 now. 2.17 is being cranked on actively right now. There's features in there I know that you're super excited about, Simon.
You can enable some of the experimental mode.
Yes, now we finally have the ability to enable experiments. We have a bunch of new lints coming, which it's weird, but I'm excited about the lints. We're actually starting now to do real investment on the server client stuff. Like we have a full-time person now just thinking about networking in Dart. So HTTP and other things IO related is great. There's cool stuff. And sign up for IO. We'll have announcements about speakers and talks and specifics soon, but there will be a Flutter and Dart presence at IO. I'm going to be one of those people. As soon as I hang out with y'all, I'm going to go back and start working on my slide deck because that's all due soon. That's a problem about having IO virtual is that it all has to be done way earlier for recording and then localization and translation. But that means I can relax in May, which is good.
And you can hopefully experience it all with the rest of us as well.
No, I can be sitting eating popcorn in the audience while watching my own talk, which is great.
Very cool. All right, Kevin, we don't want to hold you up because I know you had a hard stop.
Yeah, I have a meeting, so
we
I'm
also
late.
want to do catch up with the intro over here.
I'm
yeah.
Kevin Moo on Twitter. You guys are spectacular. We'll see you on the internet.
Yeah, information in the description about Kevin. All right, bye, Kev. Cheers.
Alrighty, and looks like they are talking to Nilay right now. So why don't we just get on with that, and I'll leave this running so you all can enjoy the other show. So
see you next week.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, we're going to deny you our wonderful opening and closing music. We're just going to go straight to Nilay.
Yeah.
Flutter community link.
Does he mean the link for the? That's the link for the video that we're going to show. There you go.
Okay. All right, Raph. We'll catch up with you in Slack.
Bye.
See ya.
Camera and virtual events, but we never had a real community, real in-person meetups here in Silicon Valley for Flutter specifically. So this is the first Silicon Valley meetup. This is why I'm so excited. So thank you, Anthony and Jan, for organizing this, and everyone. So hopefully we will do much more in-person meetups this year in the future, and we will get to know each other more. And our team is here. Most of the Flutter team is here based in Bay Area. So we will be hopefully bringing much more people. So today we have our engineering director, Eric. He is here to answer your questions. But it is really important to meet you, to get to know you, and to understand and listen to you. This is really important for the Flutter team. So hopefully we will do it more this year. So thank you again for coming. It's really, really nice to meet you in person, and nice to see everyone virtually. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, I'm not sure what's going on with the feed there, but let me post this link.
I posted the link in the chat.
Everyone,
yeah.
I think we'll run from the other YouTube. Thanks very much for joining us, everyone.
Yeah, and let me post real quick.
This is a dream come true for all of us here in the Silicon Valley. I mean, I think it was 2 months ago when I reached out to Nilay and said, how about
it would be
Silicon
easier
Valley
to just search
Flutter
this.
meetup? I mean, I thought it existed. It
Yeah,
probably
give me 1
died
sec.
down during COVID. And she's like, oh, we don't have one. We'd love it if you organize one. And 2 months later, here we are. So I first of all want to thank Nilay for giving us the opportunity to do this. And second,
go ahead and search YouTube for that right there, and you should be able to get this stream.
The link's in the chat. Just click on it.
That too.
Bye.
Take care, folks.
We totally underestimated the effort this was going to take to pull it off. You see people like Tyler here flying in from Canada, Hakeem, who's done everything with our AV here set up today. We totally underestimated that one.